Hello and welcome to Bridges Not Walls. I'm Adrian Fabian, and I join my co-host.
And I'm David Aratunian, and we are joined today by a special guest, Sara. Please introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. What year are you? What are you studying? Anything interesting about you lately?
Hi, my name is Sara. I'm a first year. I'm a major in history, minor in theater. And something interesting is that I have no idea how I'm going to get to the San Jose airport to go back home in a couple days. No idea how I'm going to do that.
Just take the Highway 17 Express. It's the easiest way.
You have to take another bus? I don't even know what that bus is.
Yeah, I'm going back the same way. So this week's topic is immigration, identity, and culture. So let's begin on the topic of immigration. Sara, could you explain to us your ethnic background?
So I identify as Chicana, which means I am a Mexican American. My grandparents are Mexican immigrants, and my dad's a first generation, and my mom is a second generation Mexican. So I'm fully Mexican.
Okay. So you're a second generation American, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, technically, because 3/4 of my grandparents are from Mexico originally.
I've always found these naming terminologies a bit difficult because, I've never seen myself as a first-generation American. I've always just seen myself as an American. It's always confusing because it's, hard terminology to understand what that means. Mm-hmm. So, what does that mean to you to be a second-generation American?
I don't know. I don't really think about it because it's kind of hard because my mom also identifies as second generation. I think it's just the extension of how far my parents got in America and then now how far I will get in the very stereotypical American dream, job, house, family, whatever.
Do you know how your family came to the U.S. and why? Why your grandparents?
I know that my abuelito, so my dad's dad, came here illegally originally to work and to save money to send back to his wife and kid in Mexico. And they came for job opportunities originally. And after he went back to Mexico, they came here legally through an immigration process. And that's how my mom's dad came here too. But why? It was probably just jobs and opportunity and trying to build a better life. They weren't extremely well educated, about 6th grade education. So they came for the opportunity to, build something more than what they could have done in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a common reason, chasing that American dream, especially for your children.
Mm-hmm. When they were coming here, did they tell you about any difficulties they faced?
No, well, my abuelito doesn't really talk too much about how he came. He doesn't really like to talk about it because, his kids are American. That's what the importance is. But what he's told my dad specifically is there was just a lot of racism in what he could and couldn't do. And his English wasn't as great as it could have been. Yeah. So it was hard for him to get anything outside of, manual labor. It was a lot of difficulties with that. But not legality difficulties.
Falling on this issue, do you think that because your grandfather, because of his background, he faced more struggle than other people of different backgrounds would?
I don't know. I don't know if I could say more or less. I think it was more different because of the Spanish language kind of barrier. I don't think it was more than people of different ethnic backgrounds. I think just also he moved to Los Angeles instead of, Wisconsin. Oh, okay. So it was a little bit easier than moving to a place where there was nobody and nothing. So I think it's different and it's hard to explain without knowing other people's, immigration stories.
So would you change anything about how maybe the immigration system works so maybe other people could come in easier, or do you think it's fine the way it is?
I don't think it's fine the way it is. It's it's very
controversial topic right now.
Crazy. I think that it's hard for people to, especially people claiming asylum, that's a very controversial what qualifies as asylum is something that apparently is now debatable. Moving to give your kids a better life is something that's deemed wrong or unnecessary now. I think we have to have more compassion, I think, is something that we're lacking in the immigration system, because it's real, it's serious. People are sending their kids by themselves to the country, and people are risking, their lives, and especially in Mexico, they're putting their lives in hands of smugglers in order to get here. So I think there has to be more compassion, and there has to be a faster system too, because it's so backlogged that it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
For people to come, even when their stuff is processing from like the 80s. Like that's insane.
All right. So moving on to the topic of identity and culture, I feel that it's necessary to bring up the idea of positionality here. Do you know what that is?
Vaguely.
Okay, so just for the audience as well, positionality is the recognition that where you stand in relation to others in society shapes what you see and what you understand about the world. This is from Sensoi and D'Angelo.
Yeah.
How do you think that your position as a second-generation American, or whatever you want to describe yourself as, and your ethnic background impacts your identity? And do you think that it plays a really big part in your identity?
I think it does. I think it does a lot. But I'm really lucky. I grew up, my high school is 60%, Latino, majority Mexican. So it was very easy to not think about it. But, you come to even a place like this that's supposedly a Hispanic serving institution, and there's not a lot of you around, and it's hard to see that factor starts playing a lot more in, the things people say or how they react to you. And I think that it plays a lot in who I am in my identity, because now you have to claim it more fully, or people feel the need to make you claim it more fully than, I did when, speaking Spanglish was just something I did with my friends, and now I have to explain what that means to other people who might think that word means something else.
Okay, so you would say that there is definitely a sort of clash between your family's culture and your culture that you have to assimilate into now.
Sometimes, yeah, there are sometimes clashes, and there's certain things that, are hard to kind of understand about. Like, people don't understand some of, like, the traditions or stuff that's specific to my family or to things in my area that I kind of just thought were common things. But, yeah, sometimes there is a clash of, like, what people expect from you being Mexican versus what actually is happening. So I think that that's pretty...
Would you say that your culture and your ethnicity are very interchangeable?
Yeah. I think my parents did a really good job, and my grandparents, of making sure we were very connected to, not necessarily through language, because it's kind of hard. My grandparents were from the generation of assimilation, where you come to America, you're an American, you speak English, no more Spanish. But through cultures and, like, certain aspects of who I am is very reflective of my culture. We get together and we have a lot of very cultural stuff, and very connected to Catholicism too, which is very connected to Mexican culture. So yeah, I think my ethnicity and like my culture, same.
So I saw you brought it up earlier when talking about your move here to Santa Cruz. And I'm sure you're familiar with the work of Stuart Hall, but for the audience, let me explain what I mean by the term othering. Othering is a practice of distancing different groups of people from each other to better define one's own identity. And you mentioned how you've experienced in Santa Cruz more than when you were back home, more othering. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, it's just weird to, go into, especially like in this hall, this side of the hall specifically, I'm the only, I'm the only female Latino. Yeah. There's one more, who's half, so it's kind of hard. And it's weird because it's weird to try, you have to go out and find that like group of other Latino people. And that, to me, is just weird, because I never had to go find any of them. You know, my elementary, middle school, high school, it was all majority Latino. You know, my family, the people my family married, you know, it's kind of, you have to take a step back and figure out that, oh, now I have to look for that community. Now it's just not going to be, you know, in my room or, you know, in my class. I'm not always going to find that one person, or if I do, it's just me and that other person that I find, despite, you know, Hispanic being a majority on this campus, it's really hard to find.
Yeah.
And unless, you know, you go to Oaks, and then that's where everyone is.
So I'm sure you know the namesake of our podcast, building bridges rather than walls.
Yeah.
Do you feel that rather than othering people, we as a society, these different groups amongst, especially in Santa Cruz, should build walls between each other rather than walls, so you don't have to go
build bridges?
Yeah,
No.
Bridges, my bad, yes.
oh, for sure. Definitely. I definitely feel like that's something that Santa Cruz is doing, and I can see people, like, I can see the effort, you know, it's hard. You know, a lot of UCs and a lot of colleges are very white, and they're very, you know, like that, but it's hard, like, yes, we should build bridges. We definitely need to. We can't build up divides racially or ethnically with people, because it's not going to work. That just never works. We're going to separate ourselves, and we're going to, you know, never get to eat Indian food again? Like, that's
idea
tragic.
That it solves issues.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming today, Sarah.
Yeah.
Good luck on finding your way to San Jose and getting back home.
Thank you. I need to.
I can show you the bus route. If you
Please, I do need to.
All right, well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.